Ever had someone try to describe like a really beautiful sunset
Yeah.
or an incredible piece of music
Yeah.
and like you just know their words can't really capture it?
Yeah. Definitely.
That's kind of the puzzle we're getting into today, right? Like,
Yeah.
can we really form our own opinions about beauty, about art, just based on what other people tell us?
Yeah.
It's this whole debate in philosophy around something called aesthetic testimony.
And it is a fascinating question, yeah.
It is.
Because think about it.
Yeah.
We rely on testimony all the time, like in our daily lives.
Right.
If someone tells you the capital of Italy is Rome,
Yeah.
you just generally accept that.
Totally.
That's a fact.
Yeah, you don't go check.
Right. Testimony is how we build up so much of what we think we know.
Yeah, it feels fundamental.
It does.
But when it comes to like, is this painting beautiful? Or is this song moving? You know,
Yeah.
There's this almost like a nagging feeling
Yeah.
that just taking someone else's word for it
Right.
isn't quite the same.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Why is that? It's a great question.
What makes aesthetics feel different in that way?
It's almost like there's this sense that it has to be up to me
Yes.
somehow.
Yeah.
And so that feeling is at the heart of what we're talking about today. So
Yeah.
for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at, we're going to be drawing from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy,
Okay.
the entry on aesthetic testimony.
Cool.
And we're going to try to unpack the core arguments for and against this whole idea of relying on aesthetic testimony
Awesome.
to help you understand this debate.
Okay, so to start,
Yeah,
let's make sure everyone's on the same page.
absolutely.
What exactly is aesthetic testimony? Like in the way philosophers use the term.
Okay, so in philosophy, testimony is really just whenever somebody is asserting that something is true.
Okay.
So aesthetic testimony would be like, that sculpture is beautiful without any further explanation.
Got it.
It's just that flat out claim.
Okay, so it's not that sculpture is beautiful because of its smooth curves or the way the light plays on it.
Yeah.
It's just
Hmm.
that sculpture is beautiful.
Yeah, just the statement itself.
Okay, got it.
So it's just the claim.
Yeah. Now, when we encounter this kind of, I guess, pure aesthetic testimony,
Yeah.
how might we react?
So philosophers talk about two main ways we can respond,
That one.
deferentially or non-deferentially.
Okay.
So if you respond deferentially, you're basically just accepting the judgment, right?
Okay.
Without really feeling the need to investigate further.
Right.
You're like, okay, yeah, they think that sculpture is beautiful. It probably is beautiful.
You're taking their word for it.
You're taking their word for it. Now,
Okay.
a non-deferential response would be using it as a prompt, right?
Okay.
So you're not necessarily rejecting their view. You're
Oh.
just not like adopting it as your own automatically.
Okay.
You're more like, oh, they found this beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go see it and make up my own mind.
Got it.
So one is passive and the other one is more of an invitation to explore for yourself.
Okay, cool. So within this discussion, we often hear these terms like pessimism and optimism.
Yes.
Can you break down what those stances mean in this context?
Absolutely. So the pessimist about aesthetic testimony, they basically believe that we can't legitimately form aesthetic judgments just based on what other people tell us.
Just based on what other people tell us. Okay.
Yeah.
So their own experience is necessary.
Right. Okay. Now the optimist says, well, no, there are conditions under which it's okay to do that.
To just take someone's word for it.
Yeah, to just take someone's word for it.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, these are broad categories.
Right.
And within each one, there are so many different arguments and nuances.
Yeah, of course.
But it gives us at least like a starting point, right?
Definitely a framework.
There's framework.
Right. So with that framework in mind, let's look back a bit.
Okay.
The source material we're looking at highlights the influence of Immanuel Kant.
Yeah.
What was his take on this whole idea of whether we can rely on others' aesthetic judgments?
Yeah. So Kant was writing in the late 1700s.
Okay.
And his big book, Critique of the Power of Judgment, he seems to be one of the first to really come out and explicitly argue against aesthetic testimony.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, at least in such a direct way.
Yeah.
He has this very famous quote where he says, if somebody doesn't find something beautiful, 100 voices all praising it won't force his innermost agreement.
Wow.
So he's saying, just because a bunch of people agree that something is beautiful,
Yeah.
that doesn't actually give you any proof
Interesting.
of its beauty.
Okay.
And it can't really ground your own judgment.
Yeah.
It's really about Your own feeling, your own innermost agreement is what matters.
That really emphasizes the personal nature of beauty, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not something you can just be told.
Right.
You have to experience it for yourself.
Right. And have that resonance.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because he touches on testimony, right?
Yeah.
But then he goes on in the book to talk about, how we can't really use these principles of taste to determine beauty either.
Okay, so what does that mean? Principles of taste.
Yeah, so this is the idea that, you could have a rule or a set of rules or concepts that could definitively tell you, if something is beautiful. Like if it has these qualities, then it's beautiful.
Oh, I see.
He thought that was a problem too.
Okay.
He's like, beauty is more about a feeling.
Right.
It's not something that can be deduced
from
logic or a set of rules.
I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky thing, right?
Totally.
Because we do try to find reasons to articulate why we like certain things.
Absolutely.
It's worth noting that in the 20th century, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the philosophical attention around aesthetics focused on those principles of taste.
Okay.
And this whole question of testimony didn't get as much direct focus. Oh, so it was kind of sidelined for a while.
It was kind of sidelined for a while, yeah.
Interesting. It's almost like those were two different avenues to be skeptical of these external sources of validation.
Right, exactly.
Like, can we get validation from other people?
Yeah.
Or can we get validation from some set of rules?
Right.
And they were both kind of like, no, not really.
Exactly.
It seems like this debate has picked up again more recently, right?
It has. It's really had a resurgence.
Why is that?
Well, the source mentions a few key papers from the early 2000s that really brought it back into the conversation. And it's, it also reflects, I think, a broader trend in philosophy to re-examine the role of testimony kind of in all areas of our lives.
Okay, that's interesting.
From moral judgments to religious beliefs, philosophers are really interested in understanding when and why should we trust what other people tell us?
Right.
And so aesthetics is just like this fascinating
test case, in a way.
Yeah. Test case.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's part of this bigger picture of how we form our beliefs and our knowledge. So, stepping away from the historical context a bit.
Yeah.
What are some of the key philosophical principles
that
come into play when we're talking about aesthetic testimony?
Okay, so one of the most influential is Richard Wollheim's acquaintance principle, often just called AP.
Got it.
And he argued that to really judge the aesthetic value of something, you must have firsthand experience of it.
Okay.
So he's saying aesthetic value judgments, they're not like facts, that can just be passed on through testimony. But this is a big challenge, right?
Yeah.
To relying on aesthetic testimony.
So if this AP is correct, just being told that some opera is brilliant isn't enough for you to really make that judgment yourself?
No, you got to go see it.
You got to go see it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a strong argument for the pessimists.
It does.
But the source also mentions that this principle isn't always interpreted in the same way.
It's true, yeah.
What are some of the different readings?
So there's a couple of key points of disagreement, I guess.
Okay.
So first of all, what counts as firsthand experience?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Does that mean you have to see the original painting?
Right.
Or would a high-quality photo be enough?
Yeah.
Or a detailed video? Or
right. Where's the line?
Where's the line? And AP doesn't tell us that.
Okay.
So there's debate about that.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, what's the force of that must?
Okay.
Is it a really strict requirement? Like you need to do this to have knowledge? Or is it more of a strong suggestion?
Right.
Like you should do this to have a better aesthetic experience?
Oh, so it could be more of a kind of a best practice.
Yeah, a best practice rather than an absolute requirement.
Got it.
And so some people argue that it's about knowledge. What you need to know aesthetically. And others say, no, it's about having a genuine aesthetic experience.
Interesting.
So
even within this core principle, there's debate on just how restrictive it is.
Absolutely.
Regarding testimony.
Yeah.
And it sounds like some even question whether it necessarily leads to pessimism.
Right.
That all forms of aesthetic testimony.
Exactly. Some people argue that, aesthetic judgment, the way Wollheim was using it, might be more about a direct appreciative engagement with the artwork rather than, a belief that can be true or false.
So it's not about the content of the judgment.
It's about the experience.
Yeah, but the experience itself.
Okay.
So if that's the case, then testimony just can't give you that experience.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that you can't form, beliefs about it.
Okay, so that's a really subtle distinction.
It is. It's a really important one.
Yeah, it is.
Because it shifts the focus.
From whether the information can be transmitted to whether the experience can be replicated.
Gotcha.
That's a really big difference.
It is a big difference.
Yeah.
The Gores also mentioned some other related principles.
Oh, yeah, there's a few others.
What are those?
So we see Gouin's autonomy principle, which suggests that we should, arrive at aesthetic judgments by using our own faculty, our own thought processes.
Okay.
Then there's Hopkins' the requirement.
Okay.
And this one says, to have a justified aesthetic belief, you need to grasp the reasons for it, the aesthetic reasons for it.
Okay.
And then Hills emphasizes aesthetic understanding, which involves, really understanding why something has those aesthetic qualities.
Okay. And the common thread between all those seems to be?
They all kind of point to this idea that firsthand experience is important.
To get that deeper level of understanding.
Yeah, to grasp the reasons or achieve that understanding.
So it's not just about knowing the judgment.
Right.
It's about knowing why.
It's the why, exactly.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork with some definitions, some key principles.
Yeah.
Now let's dive into the heart of the debate.
Okay, let's do it.
Why are some philosophers pessimistic about aesthetic testimony?
Right.
So the source makes this distinction between unavailability pessimism and unusability pessimism.
Right.
What's the difference there?
Okay, so the key difference is why they think it's problematic.
Okay.
So unavailability pessimism argues that testimony just can't give you knowledge because it fails to meet the requirements for knowledge in aesthetics.
Okay.
So there's something about aesthetics itself that makes testimony unreliable.
Okay.
Unusability pessimism says, even if it could sometimes be accurate, there are other reasons why it's not a good idea to rely on it.
Okay, so it's more about, norms or values.
Norms, values, goals.
That we have related to aesthetic engagement?
So it's not just about whether you can get to the right answer. It's about how you get there.
It's about the how,
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's a helpful distinction.
Let's start with unavailability pessimism.
Okay.
What are some of the viewpoints that kind of fall under that umbrella?
So a lot of unavailability pessimists, they draw on these different underlying theories about aesthetic judgments.
Okay.
So one set of arguments comes from anti-realist perspectives.
Okay.
Now, this includes things like aesthetic error theory, which is this kind of radical view that, all aesthetic judgments are false.
Okay. So there's no such thing as beauty, basically.
Yeah, there's no real truth to it.
Okay.
So obviously, if that's the case, then testimony would be inherently unreliable.
Right, because there's nothing to be right or wrong about.
Exactly, because it's all just false anyway.
Okay.
But this view struggles, right?
Yeah.
Because it can't really explain, why we still make a difference.
Yeah. Between our own experience and what other people tell us.
Right, because if it's all an illusion anyway.
Yeah. Why does it feel different?
Yeah, exactly.
Why does seeing a beautiful painting feel different from being told it's beautiful?
Exactly.
Like it seems to miss something there.
Yeah.
About our actual experience.
Totally. So if there's no such thing as truth or beauty or whatever, then my own feeling is just as much of an illusion as someone else telling me how I should feel.
Exactly. It's all just an illusion.
Yeah, it feels like it's missing something there.
Yeah, it misses something key.
Okay, what else?
So another anti-realist view is aesthetic relativism.
Okay.
And this view says that what's true about beauty depends on the individual or the culture.
Okay.
So, this could explain why we're hesitant to just accept someone else's judgment.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if they have the same standards.
Yeah, we don't know if we're speaking the same language.
We're not speaking the same language, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of aesthetics.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. Think about musical tastes.
Yeah.
They can vary so wildly
absolutely.
between cultures.
Yeah.
What sounds amazing in one culture could sound horrible to someone else.
Totally.
So that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
However, when you get into more sophisticated versions of relativism, it gets harder for them to maintain this complete rejection of testimony.
Gotcha.
Because if everything's relative, then why wouldn't you just kind of accept someone else's perspective?
Right. Why would it be invalid?
Exactly.
Just because it's different from yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then finally, there's aesthetic expressivism.
Okay.
Which basically says that aesthetic claims are not really about facts.
No.
They're more like expressions of emotions or attitudes.
Okay.
So when someone says this is beautiful,
yeah,
they're really just expressing their feeling.
Got it.
So, the very basic versions of this.
Yeah. Align with pessimism because
you're not learning anything.
You're not really learning anything factual.
Yeah.
You're just hearing about someone's feeling.
Yeah. Okay.
But more nuanced versions of expressivism also have trouble,
holding on to that hard line.
Holding on to that hard line.
Yeah. So the anti-realist approaches offer some reasons to be skeptical.
Yeah.
But they also face their own challenges.
Absolutely.
What about the realist approaches?
Okay. So the realist unavailability pessimists, they think that there are these, objective aesthetic properties.
Okay.
And that our judgments can be true or false.
Okay.
But they also think that knowledge of these properties requires this special kind of access.
Okay.
And this often gets tied back to, the acquaintance principle and the requirement.
Yeah.
So the idea is to really understand an aesthetic claim.
Yeah.
You need to have experienced the artwork.
And grasp the qualities that justify it.
Okay.
So it's not just a surface level understanding.
Right.
It's this deeper understanding of what makes it beautiful or sublime or whatever.
And this understanding isn't just intellectual.
No, very embodied. Yeah. Right. It's a direct sensory thing.
Yeah.
You know, there are these philosophers like Frank Sibley who talk about how aesthetic qualities, elegance or vibrancy, they depend on these underlying non-aesthetic qualities, like, the specific brushstrokes or the color combinations.
Okay, the physical property.
Right, but there aren't these strict rules connecting them. It's not like a formula.
Right.
And each instance is kind of unique.
Yeah.
So to really get why this particular painting is considered vibrant, you need to see those specific colors and brushstrokes.
It's how they interact.
Right, firsthand.
It's like trying to describe a taste.
It is. It's like, describing the taste of wine.
Yeah.
You can read the description, but you don't really get it until you taste it.
Until you taste it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the source also mentions these moderately optimistic approaches.
Oh, yeah. These are interesting.
How do those fit in?
Okay, so these views don't necessarily say it's impossible to get aesthetic knowledge through testimony.
Right.
They're just focusing on more practical reasons why it might be unreliable.
Okay.
So, for instance, Mest Permpesen, he argues that people giving aesthetic testimony might be, insincere. Like they're just being snobby.
Gotcha.
Or they're incompetent.
Right.
They don't really understand what they're talking about.
Right. Okay.
So the testimony might be about a real quality.
Yeah.
But the person giving it isn't trustworthy.
Yeah, like taking fashion advice from someone who dresses horribly.
Exactly. Or music advice from someone with terrible taste.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And then Wallbank has another related argument. He says, even if the person is reliable, we often lack the ability to assess that.
Right.
In aesthetics, unlike in science or something.
Right, where there are more ways to measure.
Yeah, it's harder to know who to trust.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
So even if it exists, and some people are good at discerning it, we might just not be good at figuring out who those people are.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really compelling point.
It's a tricky one.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to unusability pessimism then.
All right.
What are the main arguments there?
So unusability pessimists, as we said, they say, okay, maybe testimony could lead to accurate beliefs.
Yeah.
But there are these other reasons why it's just not a good idea.
Okay.
And these are not about truth or falsity.
Okay.
They're about values or norms or goals related to how we engage with art.
Right. So it's more about the process.
It's about the process,
than the outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of norms or values are at stake here?
Okay. So one idea comes from Hopkins.
Good.
He talks about these. Norms of use for beliefs.
Okay.
And he says there might be norms specific to the aesthetic realm that make it wrong to just base your belief on testimony.
Okay.
Even if it's true.
Right. So it's not about the accuracy.
It's not about being right or wrong.
It's about how you got there.
Yeah, it's about the process of arriving at that judgment.
So it's not just about is this piece of music good?
Yeah.
It's about the act of listening.
It's about the whole process of listening.
And forming that opinion.
And forming your own opinion, yeah.
Okay.
Another big argument here is about autonomy.
Yeah.
And this is really developed by Nguyen.
Okay.
And he argues that, what we really value in art is the active process of making our own judgments.
Okay.
So deference to testimony kind of bypasses that whole process.
Okay.
And it undermines our agency.
So we're not really engaging fully.
We're not engaging fully.
If we're just taking someone's word for it.
Exactly. Yeah. He has this great analogy. He compares it to a marathon runner who takes a taxi to the finish line.
Oh, wow.
They technically finish the race, but they miss the whole point.
They cheated.
They cheated, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the same with art, you can just be told what to think, but
you haven't really done the work.
You haven't done the work.
Yeah.
And so then there are these concerns about authenticity and aesthetic personality.
Okay.
Philosophers like Levinson, Riggle, and Breuer talk about this.
Okay.
And their worry is, if we just rely on other people's opinions all the time, we're kind of undermining our own sense of taste. Yeah. And we might even discard judgments that are really important to us.
Right, that are really personal.
Yeah, really personal, yeah.
Almost like building your identity.
It is. It's like our tastes and preferences are part of who we are. And so, to blindly accept testimony could lead to this kind of lack of authenticity. You're not really expressing yourself.
It's like building your style based entirely on what you see in magazines.
Exactly. And you might look fashionable, but it's not really you.
It's not really you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's this argument related to aesthetic development.
Oh.
So Ransom and Lord talk about this.
Okay.
They suggest that relying on testimony, it can hinder the growth of our own aesthetic abilities.
So we're not exercising that muscle.
We're not exercising the muscle. It's like, giving a kid a calculator for every math problem.
Oh, yeah.
They might get the right answer.
Yeah.
But they're not learning.
They're not learning how to do it themselves.
They're not developing their own skills.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting. Some people who hold this view see it as a more moderate form of optimism, especially for novices. Like, when you're first learning about something, maybe a little guidance is helpful.
Yeah.
But eventually, you got to do it on your own.
Okay, so even the pessimists see a potential role for testimony.
Yeah.
But as more of a stepping stone.
Yeah, a stepping stone.
Or like a guide.
A guide, exactly.
Not as the, final word.
Not the be-all and end-all.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot of reasons to be pessimistic.
Yeah, we have.
Let's talk about optimism.
Right.
How do optimists respond to all of that?
Okay, so they challenge those pessimistic assumptions.